Welcome to Dream Talking. We're back and we're new and improved. As you can see, we're now doing video and are on YouTube. I took about a year and a half plus off of Dream Talking, mostly because of personal life circumstances, but it's never left my heart, and I'm excited and more motivated than ever to start Dream Talking again and sharing it with you guys. I've recorded 2 so far, and I'm working on getting all the stuff and the channels and stuff together so we can start releasing everything. So today's episode, our welcome back episode, is with my new, very good friend and brother, and one of the most interesting people I've stumbled upon in this incarnation, Dylan. And I don't know his last name. I should probably text him and ask. But Dylan, who I sat down with yesterday, in this exact location here in the studio, in my place. We talked for a couple of hours, and 2 of them were recorded that you will see right now with him telling his story. The main attraction here is that him and his friend were the first humans to ride a Uni-Wheel, which is a motorized electric unicycle, a single wheel, across the country from New York to here in California, the Bay Area, which is a lot of miles. It's got to be over 3,000. I don't know. We didn't cover numbers, but we got a lot of really good stories about this. He calls himself a super hobo, and I would say that's one of the many cool descriptions of our new friend and our new dream talker, Dylan. We also, of course, get into spiritual matters and stories and non-duality, and I met him through Paul, like a good majority of the people that have been on Dream Talking in the past and probably will in the future. So he's down with non-duality, the message, the good stuff, and has a very intense and interesting waking up, enlightenment, whatever you want to call it, story, and it's worth a listen. So this was a beautiful conversation for me, and I hope you guys find value in it, and I hope that you're as excited as I am to start up Dream Talking again, and added the visual element now, recording it live, and we'll see where it goes. So welcome, and I hope you can follow us on this journey. Oh, it always seems like it just sort of picks up in the middle of a conversation. You know?
Like the old newscasts would.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where they're just doing some inane banter before.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's great, Charlie. Well,
tonight in Oakland. But yeah, there's that quality in Paul's videos of like you're in the middle of a conversation, and there's something so cool and authentic about that, because so much of the small world of non-duality on YouTube is like a guy sitting in a room with a very clean white wall behind him, like a little Buddha statue or a little plant. He's speaking very calm. We talked about this a little bit yesterday at the coffee shop. He's talking very calm and, calculated, and the thing about consciousness is, and Paul's just fucking, like yesterday his feet, he's all loud. He's like, that's a good crock shot, huh? And throwing fucks this and fucks that, and and it's cool because the duality of that too. You've been to his backyard, right?
Yeah.
It's fucking gorgeous, man. And
yeah.
Mockingbirds around singing and.
Oh yeah, it's a total Zen garden.
Yeah, no, the
Zen bitch slap garden is what it is.
Zen bitch slap garden, dude. And the feng shui there is something serious. Like I always feel. So I've had some, and we'll get into this because we are gonna.
Let me grab an ashtray.
We're gonna learn your story, yeah, of course.
Of sorts.
Yo, here I got a good one.
You got something?
I do. And you're smoke, do whatever you gotta do.
Nice.
Mi casa, su casa. Yeah, some of the times when the energetic stuff has really bubbled up in me has been in his backyard.
Yeah.
Him talking, you know, the birds chirping, and he hits that zone. It's like the subjective experience for me, and I'd like to hear your take, and we'll get a historical take too, of it's like in the movies when the sound goes away. Everything gets real quiet.
Yeah.
Everything kind of slows down. I've had those in the backyard with Paul. Probably more than anywhere else on the face of the planet.
Nice.
Which is pretty cool. So okay, let me do this the right way. And maybe we'll start the edit at some point here. Dylan, welcome to Dream Talking. That's the name of the show.
Okay,
Dream
perfect.
Right on.
Lovely.
Thank you for we're re-upping this. We're bringing it back after over a year and a half break.
Yeah.
And I'm very honored that you're the first one to do it here in the studio. I've considered I want to put a sign on the wall saying Dream Talking Studio. So people come in because I want to record a lot here.
Wow.
But you're the first one, man. So thank you.
That's amazing.
Right on.
No, it's like because you're saying you interviewed Paul, and so I feel like a bit of a first. Now this is a first for me too, because I've been like hoping that a lot of people are saying that they want to do a podcast with me or interview me because of riding cross country on
Of course,
unicycle.
that's the story.
And and they're like,
Just-
this is a great story.
Just make sure we caught that. Riding across the country on a unicycle.
On electric unicycle. Electric unicycle.
So if you're watching YouTube, because I hear people quit pretty early if there's nothing interesting,
Yeah.
that's worth sticking around for.
Yeah, my name is Dylan Weidmen, but you can look up Dylan and White Tiger. And you'll find it'll come to the top.
Yeah.
Because I had a plush white tigers on the front of the unicycle.
Oh, really? Right on.
Yeah.
Where's the tiger now?
It's on the front of the trailer now. It's
yeah.
gained some weight since he got to California. Got a bit sedentary.
Yeah. I got to meet the tiger, man.
Yeah.
I can't wait to come
Yeah.
by.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people have said, like, oh, this is a great story. I want to interview you. You should write something up. Da, 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 da. You're the first one to actually do it.
Right on.
Yeah.
Cool.
Other than my mother, but that was kind of like over the phone and it didn't go anywhere.
Okay.
A couple newspapers.
I bet. Oh God.
But the first actual like talking.
Any TV news?
No TV news.
Oh really? Okay. Well, hey, this is the first one.
Yeah.
This is video. This is going out there.
Yeah. So it's finally so this is like, and I didn't know the name was Dream Talking.
Huh.
And this whole thing, the ride itself, I mean, you can't, like, I felt like it, my whole, this year, and like, I came to a realization, I started looking into dreaming, like, as opposed to doing.
Ah, yes.
You know, if this
100%.
is dreaming.
Yep.
So I get like a premonition, and it's like the dreams are like muses, you know?
Yes, 100%.
And they're things don't happen in logical ways. I could make a list and go, okay, I'll call this person, but
yeah.
like it's more just like I dream it up and keep talking about it dreaming it together.
Yeah.
With my friend Tristan. We were building first before the wheels we were getting all into mythology and the gods and stuff. And
we can talk about that.
Yeah,
too.
and in fact, we started, and then I was going to do a radio show about that and did one, but a job started, and when I work, so I went to New Jersey, and worked through the winter, and no, but got my first wheel, and that was back in like 2017 or 18 or
okay.
Trying to remember, but and then Tristan, I got another wheel, and Tristan started riding, and at that time we were making this like stone hut in the woods that's like kind of a hobo spot that overlooks the river and the train tracks and the bridge and the mountains and the sunset.
Yeah, nice.
And slowly working on that and just dreaming this whole thing of like
So you seen it as kind of like a premonition, like a dream, and then you started building it?
Well, even the wheel itself, but that too, yeah, that place, but we're talking about being robo-hobos, with these wheels.
Robo-hobos.
Because we realized both of us, he used to be a train operator, I used to be a hitchhiker, and we've done it the hard way, and now
bring it to the 21st century.
Yeah, and finally this thing has come.
Yeah.
And
you were the first hobo to cash the check.
Well, and we were talking just about making hobo life easier. Hobo tech, it's like, I know there's not much of a market for that. That's why everything's designed for glamping or whatnot.
Of course, yes.
Or ultralight hiking or something.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, but who's gonna make the good gear for the hobos?
Yeah.
You make your own.
Yeah, exactly. And, that's it, man.
But we started dreaming it up, and everything we were talking about earlier, the changes in my life, it's all been just it's like this dream, and then it's strange, how it just continues. Yeah. It keeps opening up and opening up and opening up and happening
has that quality.
In nonlinear ways.
Yep.
That you can trust.
Yeah, I know, man. That's so this exact moment, this exact event is an example of that, which I fucking love. Yeah. I've plenty of Paul talks, see people, hey, how's it going, and this and that, and I don't even know what sparked it, but we started talking. Yeah. And I actually had plans today, and today wasn't supposed to be free, but it became free. I hit you up, and you were so cool yesterday too, dude, about I'm not busy, man, just hit me up. If something opens up, just go for it. And so few people do that with me, and I end up in this weird, because I work so fucking much, plus the kids, plus other things, that I'm like, oh man, it's hard to find this time. This is a tiny little puzzle piece that happened to fit in this afternoon. Yeah. And the fact that it's happening, it has that dream quality to it, of I'm following an instinct to something that this is what life is offering. This is a check that I'm going to cash that life is offering. Hang out with cool people, get to know them, and record it and fucking share it with the world. Because there's a lot of lonely people out there too that want to, hear some people's story. And, that's why I fell in love with podcasting in the first place. I was fucking lonely. I was driving, 2.5 hours in traffic every day, and I wanted to listen to friends talk to each other. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah, and get to know each other and share their stories and stuff. So it's dreams on top of dreams. It's good stuff, man. Yeah. So right on. Okay. I'm gonna try to be a little bit of an interview host.
Okay.
And ask you to start. Dealer's choice. You can start at the beginning, your childhood, or we can jump up to your spiritual awakening.
We can touch them all.
Let's do it.
Quick.
Yeah. Where'd you grow up?
Where'd I grow up? Born. This kind of matters a little bit, I guess. So I was my dad was a fisherman on Cape Cod, where my family's from, or his family's from, and my parents are hippies, so I was born there, and then they decided to go traveling around Europe and stuff while the baby was carryable. So the first year was on the road, I learned, or second year or whatnot. I think I turned 2 in Greece, learned to walk and talk there. And so I grew up, being carried, that way. So that's still a comfortable thing for me.
Yeah.
And for my parents too, in that way, sleeping on couches or whatnot. But for me especially, the road is home.
It's home. Yeah. Staying in one place for too long is,
Yeah.
And, not built into your DNA.
And then when they got pregnant with my sister, they were just back and broke from
traveling.
If you spent all their money,
brand new kids,
and their friends were on Tennessee Farm, which is the largest hippie commune in the U.S.
Still today?
It's probably still today, but or not necessarily maybe Twin Oaks or something, which I don't know if they're hippies, but but the farm was 1,400 people at that time.
Holy shit.
Probably 3/4 of them children, but or 2/3 of them, but and was total commune, everything in common above a guitar.
Huh.
Personal money, you could go get money from the bank lady if you needed to go off to go see your family or doing it, like everything in common.
Wow.
They pay off your they paid off college loans.
Holy shit.
And vows of poverty, and growing food, and it's a famous thing in itself.
Yeah,
The Tennessee farm.
I mean, I've heard of communes, but I didn't know that level. 1,400 people. That's
Stephen Gaskin. They were the main driving force behind midwifery, the resurgence of midwifery in the U.S.
Midwifery.
Yeah, Ina May.
Oh, okay.
Wrote Spiritual Midwifery. They had a book publishing company. They had all kinds of. They had an international relief organization. There was 50 satellite communities, and so we mostly lived on the one in upstate New York, which was like 50 people.
Okay.
And
you're how old at this point? This is
all like
before your memory.
So this is from 2 to 6.
Okay.
But this is formative.
Very formative, man. Yeah.
And then we moved off the commune broke up, and we moved into town. And it was like the early 80s, and it was like still like anti-communist stuff, so all the kids were like, and it was a redneck town, so they were like, kill the commie.
Ooh,
so that was
shit.
my introduction to America.
Oh.
And then we moved to like the poor side of town in Oneonta, and I got like a paper route. I was a kid and started being a young and Michael J. Fox or Alex Keaton from Family Ties, who was like a young Republican in that show. Yeah, it was kind of like my role model in elementary school, because I was gonna be like, screw these hippies, I'm gonna make money. Yeah. But that rebellion lasted about 2 years. I was still a hustler by state.
You got it out of your system.
Yeah, I realized my parents were right.
Dude, I'm just laughing at myself because I said, we could skip your childhood if you want. This is an interesting ass childhood. We got it.
Then luckily we moved to Cape Cod. My dad was working jobs and going to school and whatnot, and he got into grad school back on the Cape in an MIT as an oceanographic as a oceanographer. Oh shit! Right. It got all of a sudden the parents had a little bit more money. I got to high school. All of a sudden I was cool. I was a skateboarder and whatnot, and like got to change my image. So it was a good turnaround. Yeah. And there you go. You had
some serious identity shifts all through the first.
Well, it was the same identity. Just I got. I was the new kid.
Flavors on it. Yeah, you kept
new kid in a place with whatever, and then I got out of high school. I graduated high school a year early because I would have dropped out otherwise. I hated it, and went hitchhiking cross country. Came back with lice and giardia and all that. Recovered, and immediately got a call out of the blue to work on the research ships out of Woods Hole, because I had applied there through an after-school job that I'd had before, whatever, and became a dishwasher. Flew immediately to San Diego, maybe 2 weeks after my 18th birthday, and got on a ship supposedly for 2 weeks, but ended up being on there for a few months, and got working my way onto the deck, and so I ended up working on those ships for a couple of years and traveling around the world doing that. And then having a bunch of money in my pocket when I stopped going. Doing that.
You're on a ship. It's hard to spend money, and you're getting paid.
So we're coming right through, because I had gotten parasites in Africa. My digestion had gotten killed by the drugs that they'd given me to get rid of the parasites. Fuck. And I was like falling asleep. I was trying to organize a youth center in my hometown. I was working on one of the local boats occasionally, but I was like losing all my energy. And
from the medicine fucking your digestion up.
Yeah, just I had my poop was yellow. There was nothing working. Yeah. And I didn't know what, and I was all gummed up, basically, it was just tired. Yeah. And I had friends that I'd met at a festival the year before that were calling me every day and put me on the phone with girls and stuff, being like, Dylan, come out here. And it was a massage school in Northern California called Heartwood. Huh. In Humboldt County, right on the Humboldt, up up in the
Look,
hills
yeah,
in the Emerald Triangle.
Where the good weed is, yeah.
Yeah, and this was 1997, 6.
Okay.
6, because I had just gotten back from that. Yeah, and they were like, come out here. And I went out there because I was fucked. I couldn't anyway.
Yeah.
And and it was healing art school, so it was massage and healing with Whole Foods. Paul Pitchford. I don't know if you ever read that book, but he was a teacher there.
Okay.
And that was like a very famous book. So I was learning how to like
Healing,
doing all these cleanses.
Healing with Whole Foods. Yeah. Okay.
So I was doing all these parasite cleanses and
right
it was
what you
perfect
needed.
and getting Reiki done on me and learning shiatsu and
Nice.
I was cooking. I started as maintenance guy there,
Okay. Again.
doing the trash in the hot tubs.
And then you started learning all
and
these different skills.
Then I started work in the kitchen and you could sign up for any classes you want. My favorite was hypnotherapy.
Oh, dude.
And
did I tell you
Patrick
yesterday
was an amazing teacher.
My history?
No.
So the cult, that was their big deal, was hypnotherapy.
Which
I grew up in
NLP or which one?
To be honest, I don't know, because similar to like you saying you wanted to be Jeff Foxworthy
Or what? Yeah.
I rebelled against the hypnotherapy and the spirit healing and stuff like that, and it's all bullshit, and I've slowly come back around to like so one of the things I like to do is go on psychic fail videos online and see like Sylvia Brown.
That's hilarious.
Watch Sylvia Brown go, I see your husband drowning. And then the woman's like, no, he died in a fire. Oh, the sprinkler's supposed to be going off. like it's therapeutic.
Oh my God.
It's therapeutic.
Oh,
for
yeah,
me.
that's lovely.
For me, yeah.
Yeah, so the hypnotherapy that I was studying was very grounded and practical and non-woo-woo.
And I'll let you just to...
Yeah.
I know now that there are some telepathic researchers that I actually really respect. And I think it's
there's that too, yeah.
I think that's a
this
really
wasn't.
cool industry.
Yeah.
It's a really cool field of study for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
But it's just funny that you said that of all things, hypnotherapy. Okay, right on.
I think it was Ericksonian.
Okay.
So Eric Erickson was is Eric Erickson? Yeah, I think was the founder. His book, the Teaching Tales of Milton. Is it Milton Erickson?
Milton Erickson. I don't.
I think it might be Milton Erickson.
These are names I heard growing up, but I don't.
And his stuff is lovely, and his top student founded NLP, which is mostly goes into advertising and is very manipulative, right? And
yeah, that's what my cult was into.
Right,
they were into taking the Social Security checks of old ladies. That
it's very effective.
Yeah, I know.
And so that's the dark side. But the goal of this was mainly the hardest part. It's just while we're on the topic was like he's like, do as little as possible. Like if you don't have to regret, like really the hardest part or like the most important part is figuring out what people want, because they come in thinking they want one thing and you're like, yeah, but why do you want that? But usually you don't have to do anything, because by the time they figure out by the time they actually figure out what they came in there for, then they'll have a solution.
And they walk away going, how did they know what I really wanted? I didn't even know what I wanted.
Yeah, well, it's like you literally just keep asking them why they want that.
Oh yeah, I think I do that similar technique to that to people all the fucking time. But yeah, that's good shit.
And so you don't have to, and it doesn't. A lot of it was like. Creating memories that could help you, like you don't need, it's not important what happened, it's important like what's happening now, and what's disabling you. So it's not the truth of the matter, so whether, so we don't have to get into whether that was actually your past life or not.
Because the present truth can be served by a fictional story of anything, of course, 100%. One of my best buddies is my friend Elizabeth. She's been on Dream Talking. It's been a few years. Her teacher Dorothy Allison, I have some of her books here, used to say something along the lines of, in fiction we lie to tell a deeper truth that autobiographical stories could never tell. right?
Right.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's that.
You get the
Technically.
poetic license to be more truthful.
Exactly. That's it.
More true to the sense.
Yeah.
This is what you're trying to, yeah.
Right on. Okay, so we're at the Whole Foods Healing.
Yes, at Heartwood.
Heartwood Institute.
And
you're learning all sorts of cool
stuff. Yeah.
hippie shit. Late 90s.
Yeah, 1996.
Okay.
And or 7, and they were doing holotropic breath work there, and a friend of mine did a session with me, and it had went into the classic kind of rebirthing aspects of some of those when you're hyperventilating. This was done without music, but you have your minder, but it was private, not in a room with lots of other people. And
just you and
just me
and one coach, or
one practitioner.
And this is the first time you've done it? Was when you had an experience, or had you been doing it for a while?
Yeah, it was the first time I did it. Maybe, yeah, it was the first time. And and you're doing like the pushing, and they hold the pillows against you, and you're like, so you're going into that.
Yeah.
And I had. And I think it was a memory of like not wanting to go to school because kindergarten on the farm, because I wanted to be near my mom. Because actually, like, in the sense there was because I was preemie and had been separated from, I'd been, a lonely preemie baby for a while.
Oh,
right?
In the hospital?
In the hospital, that sort of thing.
Put in a tank?
Yeah, put in a tank and tortured, and but
And that was that coming up?
And then so we went from the the 5-year-old memory to the
oh wow,
to the a little, just a touch of that memory, but then right back to the womb, and then into the past life memory, to the bardo of the and seeing kind of the light, being in light and wanting to feeling pure love, but I kind of screwed up and wanted to come back, but forgetting that come back as a baby. I was like, I didn't get around to the thing.
Dude, this is so fucking awesome. We got to stay here a little bit longer. Just that little description you just gave.
Yeah.
Preemie, into the womb, into the bardo, seeing the light, a sense of peace, freedom.
Pure love.
Pure
you're
love.
just you're washed over by the pure love and
then a little bit of the human comes back and you feel guilty, like you don't deserve it, or
well, it was no, it was fuck, I missed the point. I was I just want to share, I just want to share this love. So I'm the cup is overflowing essentially.
Yeah.
And coming back to earth, you're oh no, I had. This was the cut. I was supposed to be spilling this down there. I was down there to share this.
Yeah.
But I got caught up in my memory of it, or at least my memory of it was that I had been an old Jewish lawyer, and I just gotten a little caught up in the arguments.
This is going into the past life.
Yeah, that's where I'd been coming from, and kind of forgot what I'd come for. So now I need to go back, and then fuck, I'm a baby. Get tortured. This didn't work out. Everything's overwhelming. And by the time you're old enough to do anything about it, the whole karma and trauma's reaffixed. And,
God, dude, you just took me through a psychedelic trip. That was fucking amazing. Yeah. I've had nothing to that extreme doing a holotropic breathing or anything, but I've had sort of half asleep, half awake, sober moments of sort of that cycle of where you go I say, I don't know why the phrase resonates with me, playing with house money, with the cup overflowing.
Yeah.
I get this download of, you're playing with house money. Stop fucking hoarding your love and your fucking share it. What are you doing? Why are you fucking holding on to it?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and as you were explaining that, something connected of that memory of wait, why are we here again? Oh yeah, to fucking connect and share and like, you know, you already have everything you need and more. Fucking give it, share it, you know.
Oh, that's so scary. You're right. The house money, that's pure.
House money. We're all playing with house money. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good shit. Okay, I'm sorry. We're
not sorry. That's it. Thanks. I'm putting that in my billfold.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Yeah. Wow, what an experience. Okay, I'm going to take us back to Dylan breathing.
Yeah. So that was. I mean, that really went through, and then the calm afterwards, you know, and I woke up the next morning. I mean, I went. You know, whatever. I felt wore out and went. Eventually, you know, ate dinner or something and went to bed. And woke up the next morning, but when I got up, it felt like the sunshine was going right through me. Like the sun was shining, but there was no shadow. Like it just was like everything. I was like, I felt translucent.
You felt like you were one with the light or. Yeah.
I felt literally translucent.
Somebody.
And like and I went up to the yoga class that I would go to every morning. Now I've always had tight hips as a skateboarder. I don't stretch, but I've been taking yoga class there.
Okay.
And Gaina, who's the teacher, and she had long braids down to her ankles, and she use them. She'd wrap them around your legs so you could use them as a rope to get into stretches and stuff like that. And she's awesome, but you know, a bit of a drill sergeant, Aries.
Yeah.
And Patrick was her husband, who's the hypnosis teacher.
Oh,
amazing couple. And
what a couple, yeah.
So I went up to her class, and I went to stretch, and there was zero resistance. Like I went to like a full split. I could like lay flat. Like there was no, like it was as if I like. And she saw immediately. She's like, "Oh, you've made some progress today." And also there was like that, like really just like quiet, like and like radiating energy that everybody around me seemed to be picking up fully, like a holy man. Sort of.
Yeah.
Just
you're the Ramana Maharshi of the
it stepped in and so like I don't even remember, like that may have gone on for a few days or a couple weeks at most, but like because it was all kind of a blur after that. There, like I remember one of my other classes, I think it was, forget what it was, but sitting there. This is memory, but things were going on like that like I was hearing all the words about 5 seconds before they were said, or 4 seconds before they were said. So I was laughing at jokes before they were said. And like, and I'd just be this giggling. I had like my thing over me, and just be like giggling and hearing everything first, and then people saying them.
Your head is a show.
Yeah. And, you know, sometimes people were like, there was no, like, I wasn't engaging. Yeah. And then out of the blue, basically, I got a phone call from home saying my grandfather was dying and would I come back east.
Oh.
And.
Bro, what timing.
And everyone was like, I don't think you should go, man.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I felt like I shouldn't go either, but I did have this thing that recurred. It's a funny, maybe this is a funny spiritual trap, or I don't even know the answer to it, you know? Yeah. But like where I'm like, well, what I'm having here is so beautiful, but if it's conditional, like it's, I know that these things, I know, you know, I've read the Tao Te Ching or whatnot, and like, I meditated on the ships and stuff. I read all kinds of spiritual books, been raised on it, you know. But
you had a little bit of framing to have an idea of what's going on.
Too much, perhaps.
Too much, yeah, exactly.
and it's too much hero's journey, perhaps. But that, you know, which I'm still doing. But
I did it.
but I was like, oh, but if this could be messed up, then it's not
true.
It's not
real.
true.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go see the family, even though this doesn't feel right. Because hey, well, let's see what that does if it doesn't feel right. Which a lot of people are like, oh.
Do you know the Ram Dass quote? He says, he has a lot of quotes, but he says, if you think you're enlightened, spend a weekend with your family.
Well, that's exactly what I did.
That's exactly what you did. Nothing will fucking kill an enlightenment.
So on my way into town, you came down the mountain, and I could feel like up there things are kind of peaceful. So it was mostly
Just
my radiating
coming
energy, but I could feel the
Nature,
heat of the anger of the land coming out. You know, like the human thing. Didn't bother me, but you know, start smoking, start drinking, da 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 da. But then that's when I noticed I couldn't become intoxicated no matter how much I consumed. Like
it didn't change.
Like it's funny. The smoke also. I also felt translucent to the smoke.
Like it wasn't even
or the alcohol. Like it just felt like
that.
it poured right out. Like nothing. You know, I could do any drugs and go out. Like nothing. Nothing seemed to have any effects. I was still just like, you know, I was like, well, okay, so this is holding up.
Holy shit.
You know, I didn't need to be all pure up there. That's a good one.
Uh-huh.
And I got on the plane, and I get home. That turns out and the plane gets delayed for a day. It's Tower Air back then, which was kind of like the Greyhound of airplanes, and they only had like one plane that went back and forth. So you'd have, if it gets delayed, they keep telling you hour by hour that it's delayed, but that could go on for 24 hours, and it's like a bus station. You know,
dude, maybe even better than a weekend with your family. Sitting at an airport with delayed flights, and if you can keep the condition
for 24 hours,
for 24 fucking hours, that's I don't know if Ramana or the Buddha could fucking have handled that.
It held up that far, but I hadn't made it to my parents.
Dude, you couldn't orchestrate a more perfect bringing you down formula.
Yeah.
Okay. Delayed flights for 24 hours straight, but he only gets an update every hour, and then go spend time with his dying grandpa.
Supposedly, but he had recovered by the time I got there.
Oh my god!
And instead, there was some other drama between my parents, which since I was in the state, I can't quite remember. I just started doing energy work on my mother.
That's beautiful,
and
man.
it was very healing.
Cool.
I think maybe there had been some infidelity or something. I don't know. And I don't recall, but being around, but in doing the healing work on my mother, I could, and around my father, who I think was in pain a bit too at that time. Like they both had some pain going. I felt it was as if I was soft wax, and as I worked to heal them, I felt the karmic imprints,
the karmic messiness,
get nicely set back into place. That stuff that had been released through got all set back into where it belonged in the organs. the generational traumas and all that, like I got the anger right, and like everything. The demons were all like, okay, let's get back in.
Wow.
So to speak. You understand the
metaphorically,
perspectives.
100%. Yeah, metaphorically.
Without,
I feel it. It's
and all I can say is that then I went back, and I was like just started smoking cigarettes again, which I hadn't in like since I had quit on the ships early on, so I hadn't been a smoker for a couple of years, and just coffee, weed, and cigarettes. It's been holding it up ever since.
Yeah.
Because it stopped. Yeah, it stopped being I stopped being afraid either way. So the coffee, weed, and cigarettes, we'll see. But like, I don't. I'm not doing it.
No, when you say afraid either way, you mean you're afraid of going back.
Back
or losing it.
Yeah, that's not a lot of concern anymore. There's just a little. I mean.
Wow.
Ideally, the relief of non-duality is.
I know, right? The relief of duality
is like it's just this like it's like the supernatural. That those levels, they're amazing, but it's just they're light. They're not the weight that that we could.
Yeah, that holds us here.
They're not so. It does. It's not. That's not the drama anymore. Like you can really like you see. It's actually whatever. It really is. It really is always available.
It's always
really
available.
Is always available.
Yeah.
You really can't fuck it up like that. You really only can fuck it up like that. Like, whatever you want. Like it's a relief.
It's a relief.
It's a relief that it's a relief so strong that it usually scares people.
Yeah, exactly, dude. 100%. Yeah, and
but it really is just a relief if they only knew how. If you only knew, besides the wild stories of yesterday's coffee time, it really is just more. It's so relievingly mundane.
Yeah, and that's the real gift.
Yeah.
I think, right?
Now that story didn't end. The awakening experience. Then I was like in Earth First that summer, and then I came home, and then out east, and then I started my polarity therapy teacher had sold me on a book from his guru, who was a Krishna devotee and a woman who had written like the story of Krishna, like it was called The Play of God.
Okay.
And of course,
when
I was home
again, like Krishna and Shakti stories.
So when I was home, obviously in the mundanity, in the like back with all the imprints and stuff, I started missing this thing, and I took a devotional path, and very quickly things opened right up. Like because I was reading this book that at first I thought was too cheesy, and then I couldn't put down, and then like the heart was just going, and then my knees were getting bloody from prostration soon enough.
Oh my God!
In my room.
Yeah,
but
to Krishna, to
the beloved, and then reading Rumi and
dude, as soon as you said beloved, the first thing that popped in. I can't fucking read Rumi without crying now. It's still to this day, it's that devotional. Yeah, the beloved, the longing.
And Hafiz is the one that really spoke to me. The Daniel Ladinsky.
What's it called?
Daniel Ladinsky is a Baba lover.
Yeah.
He has renderings of Hafiz. They're they're wild.
He takes
renderings. Yeah. So he's still that's my favorite.
Yeah.
Books.
Yeah.
And my parents are cool. They picked up on it. They were like, wow. Just like, okay, we have a saint in this room.
Oh yeah, well they're hippies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they could tell the energy had like changed. But
they're like, man, we tried to put those karmic imprints back, but
well, I started getting upset with them because all of a sudden I was still striving in this place, but also fearful. Like, that's when the sleepless nights started.
Yep. Yeah.
That were scarily silent and calm. It wasn't like sleepless, like I can't sleep. It was like so restful that there's no sleep to be like deeper than sleep.
As we shared yesterday at the coffee shop, I only ever experienced a month of that.
That's more than I got. That's a lot more than I got. Only a month of that. It's fucking eternity.
And it's dude, beyond
that's
eternity.
Amazing. That's amazing.
Beyond eternity.
Yeah.
And I think Ramana says, or the way that they translate one of Ramana Maharshi's things is, what you are in deep dreamless. Well, your truest nature emerges in deep dreamless sleep. Right.
Yeah.
And I think I had heard that before having this, and I remember in the void, in the, nothingness, this little popping up of like, oh, that's what Ramana meant. But we. It's just a little fucking blip in the code in the matrix, and
self came in and tried to get it. Like,
I'm gonna. Hey, I know what this one is.
No. Guy in the front of the theater there.
Just real quick, this is totally
please
off subject, but because you said self come in, when in my first year of listening to Paul, I was working in the Tenderloin in San Francisco, and I used to show up there. I would start work at 6:30, and I'd show up at 6 and sleep in my car for a half an hour in the Tenderloin before the fucking sun came up, right? And I was listening to Paul through the radio, laying there, kind of half asleep, half awake state, right? And sort of Nick came online and heard Paul's voice. It's dreaming. This is dreaming. There's no reality. There's no thing that's actually happening. It's dreaming. You're giving everything all the meaning it has. He's very intense, right? And I'm kind of like coming online, and then I looked at the clock and I seen it's like 6:28, and then this is a story, my interpretation.
Yeah.
Like the body got up and was like opening the car and stuff, but Nick was not online.
Yeah.
And I seen the selfing want to freak out about that. And it was like a car engine trying to turn over, but it wouldn't take. It was like, like the selfing was like, freak out about this, you're not in control. Freak out about this, you're not in control, but it wouldn't. And it was like an out-of-body experience. I watched the body go into the building, and then the selfing, and then it kicked over, and then the engine started, and it's like, okay, Nick's back online.
Yeah.
Yeah. You reminded me a little bit of that. Speaking of those deep, sleepless, not dreaming but not awake. That was something triggered by a Paul talk of like, no one's online, the body's moving.
Oh yeah.
But Nick's not steering it,
Yeah.
And then you get that whole having never left of like, well, who's ever steering?
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So, sorry, that was total.
Yeah. I wonder. We could almost get it.
We still haven't gotten to the Uni-Wheel.
Well, we're getting to it that way. Is that the cerebellum is mostly driving this thing most of the time. I don't think it doesn't do the organs and stuff, but it does all the fine motor skills, like literally driving the car.
The nervous system, yeah.
Yeah, that's why you can be spaced out and like it still gets you there.
Yeah.
Of
course.
And that's what skateboarding or any sport, like you're learning in your sleep, in that you do something and then literally the brain is processing it at night when it's not busy doing the other things, right? So the fine motor skills aren't being used while you're sleeping because it's locked it down.
That's when it's learning.
And then it's studying those. It's going over the information.
Yep. And
then you have the fine motor skills the next time. And so when you were talking about that, I was like, that reminds me of wheeling on ketamine.
Oh,
no.
Wow, yeah. Oh, dude, 100%.
Because I'll be sitting there, and when I'm not using my motor skills, I can actually get totally tripped out and overwhelmed. I'm not particularly into the, whatever. But but then I've been like, oh, I gotta go, and I get up, and like all of a sudden, like, oh, I'm not freaked out because this thing is just totally sober, and it puts on the thing and it goes wheeling and it's perfect control, and I'm just watching it, and it's a little bit like calming the baby too, that like the mind could go kind of crazy places, but when the attention is taken, in a way you're relieved of your duties. Like,
of the usual story you're telling yourself.
Like it's obvious that the body doesn't, like, it's walking up the hill. It's watching out for rocks and everything. It's
the body has an intelligence of its own. Yeah, for sure. And
especially the only thing that could limit that is another draw so strong on your attention that the unconscious attention isn't even there to do its job.
Yeah, dude. That's the spotlight of consciousness is so hardcore.
It's pulling so hard off that battery.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's like if you just soften it a little bit, you can walk and chew gum.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to just be like, no chewing gum. It's like, no, just don't like.
Yeah, dude, 100%.
Just don't chew so hard, and
that phenomena you're speaking of reminds me a lot of weed. I don't smoke hardly at all anymore, or edibles, but when I did, I remember that like weed showing me that the story I tell myself of needing to control all these as you're saying, walking up the hill, I need to pay attention and look for rocks. I need to this and that, and realizing that's a total fucking story. That the mind can let off of the gas so much, and this is this has its own renewable source.
It's a self-balancing, self-driving car.
100%.
And that is the wheel. So the wheel came to me in like a dream, not really a dream, like sleeping dream, but it was the day. A lot of my dreaming is a daydream.
Yeah. Do you like the metaphor of downloads? I like downloads.
Yeah, I get a lot of yes. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, it feels like it comes from somewhere else, and it's so clear and so clearly not manufactured by Dylan or Nick, and it's.
I don't know. Mine tend to have a lot of
Dylan
personal symbols on there.
Yeah.
But they're still downloads.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was one of them. Was
and it served you.
I was like, wait a minute, I knew about electric bikes and stuff, and I'd seen one of these long before, and I was like, I wonder if those are real now. I wonder if those are powerful, like if they
can really go
off road.
This is what year we're talking here?
2018.
2018
or 2017, somewhere around there.
Okay.
And I looked it up, and these full size ones were just developing. Like they were just going from like toy to like
serious
to like just starting to be able to go like 25 or 30 miles an hour and powerful enough. And the first ones like that were coming out, and so that's the one I bought when I went to New Jersey, and I was like, I wonder if they really are, and it was exactly what I had imagined.
You had imagined.
And it feels like dream flying, because we're self-balancing, so that's how we move, and as soon as you let the wheel do it, like it becomes your wheel, like, and
it becomes an extension of your body.
Yeah, it's absolute. Yeah, and
it feels more natural than riding a bike, even a skateboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because your body is the throttle and steering.
That's so fucking cool.
And whichever direction you go with it, that's like how it's affecting the movement. If you're leaning right, and so it becomes that like you're just moving at the speed of thought. Like you just feel like, like just like a bird, like turning to like come in. Like there's no. You're not operating. Obviously, the body's able to. When you're driving a car, you feel like the car is you. You can feel what's under the tires through the thing. But you kind of imagine it's like This is the most
the least veil between you and the machine.
Yeah,
dude. Okay, so whoever owns these companies, there's your ad right there. I mean, there's your fucking.
Well, everyone who rides is a zealot.
Yeah, I bet.
I could get free stuff if I had a lot of followers on social media, which has its own. That's a thing. You can get. I'm a little been virtually shy. I've barely shared the story, even though I did this as a NBD. Never been done.
Yeah. And
my friend Tristan too came out with me. We traveled together and apart. Kind of week on, week off.
And Tristan went the same distance?
Yeah. He kept going actually, because both our wheels busted here.
Where are you gonna go?
And then he fixed his, Japan? And he went all the way down. No, he went all the way down to Baja.
Oh shit!
And then he took a train back to New York. Yeah.
And you stayed out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so that tied it in.
It does.
And the dream with this again started with Tristan and I just talking about like a new nomadism and like kind of a superhero, like a natural human. I can't even get into this. It's like I don't remember where we started because that came later. It's so funny. Like once you start,
how our memories piece stuff together. Yeah.
But as far as downloads go, you mentioned downloads, and so you can't tell all the stories. But I had a Halloween download. Now, I think we were maybe in Missoula on Halloween, or can't remember, maybe Montana, because we left on September 7th from the Hudson Valley.
Okay.
And from Germantown, New York, and I got to Berkeley on like November 5th or maybe 12th or something like that, early November.
2 weeks?
2 months.
2 months? 2 months?
Yeah, 2 months.
That seems really quick.
Yeah.
You guys were booking. You guys.
Well, we did like 100 miles a day.
Yeah.
Some days more.
Wow.
And we stopped a couple places, but for a week.
Uh-huh.
But you know, just coming across, there was this thing where here we were kind of like living like superheroes, but looking like bums. We were super bums.
Super bums.
People. So when I'm in a park at night charging, you know, I mean, I'm just a homeless person. People see me. In fact, they're a little concerned because I also have body armor, and like they're like, well, that guy's definitely crazy because there's no like, the wheel is so small that it's kind of like backpack. They just see like a plush tiger's head and a bunch of stuff and a guy in a big coat.
It's even worse
and
than you wearing this because you're in body armor.
Yeah, body armor and bags.
This guy thinks he's a superhero, and you're like, I am a superhero. Do you know what I'm doing? I'm riding.
Yeah. People have no idea. They just think this is a crazy bum. I've never seen him before. He's in our park.
That's so odd. Because even if you were explaining what you were doing, they're gonna go, "Oh yeah,
they're
he's
not gonna believe
he's
me.
schizophrenic.
Yeah.
He's making up a story."
They often wouldn't hear it.
Yeah.
No, they would like be asking me, and I would tell them 3 times. And it wasn't until I put my stuff on and got back on the wheel, and then they would be like, "Wait a minute, what's going on?" It's like they actually hadn't. They'd be asking me questions, wondering who I was, and not be able to hear, and because it couldn't make sense.
There's something like, you know, when the boats came over Christopher Columbus.
Right? Yes,
They couldn't see the boats because it wasn't a part of their reality.
That's a very real thing on the wheel. In that cars will literally, people will look up at an intersection, make eye contact with you, and then aim for you. And the reality is they did not register what you were, and therefore they didn't see you. They looked right at you, didn't register, and are coming right, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry." So
because you don't fit into their reality.
It's one of those categories.
There's no guy that can ride around.
No, it's just not a thing. And so you have to remember that when you're riding, that people literally can't see you, even if they can.
Yeah, it's already fucking dangerous enough.
But that's why when I put the Tiger on, that changed a little bit.
Interesting.
Where people started seeing me. Because they'd look up and they didn't just see a guy with no vehicle moving at high rates of speed, which was confusing. They saw a white tiger, full-size white tiger's face, and they thought, you know, it hit the prey response, and they're like, okay, there's something to see here. And then they got the picture.
Wow.
You know.
The psychology of that.
Yeah.
Did that come to you as a download, or were you...
No, that was actually like, the tiger was, went through breakup, and there was stuff left over that wasn't mine. What do I do with this plush white tiger? Let's see if make a little silly video by putting it on my wheel, like, and filming from the tiger's perspective. And that kind of works, but it was flopping over the light. I put it up higher, and then I noticed I could put my, like, it was like a cup holder, and you know, it became convenient, my stereo in there, whatever, you know. So and then it just stayed on, and I didn't, and then
it served other purposes.
Well, and then when I come to find out, now we're in the year of the tiger, and so like I went to like a Chinese New Year's rave that there was like, you know, 800 sexy white tigers dancing on you. Like, I was like, oh, I guess, you know, we made it, Tiggy, you know, like it was like, like it was just wild, like, you know, it's all been wonderful. It all aligned in a way. So the download, so the bum, and the people just afraid, and
that must have, I mean, it must have been rare to find somebody welcoming in Middle America. Yeah, in body armor.
But the angels were also like, oh my god, like you're the only, you just dropped out of.
Yeah.
And a lot of people too would admit, like, they're like, am I tripping?
Yeah.
Because the white, like they would question their own sanity. But that didn't make them trust me, you know what I mean? Or they'd be friendly with me at first and be like, wow, this is amazing, and like everything's great, and they're all like, even be like, oh, you want to, you know, go, and then they look over and is as if the dog realized he was hanging out with the wolf. You know, like it'd be like, oh, I gotta go. You know, like
wow, man.
But worse than that, what I saw was that there was I was getting, if I slept in a park or anything like that, I had to avoid places that were legitimately parks because I'd be woken up by the rangers or the cops being like, you're not allowed to sleep here. Parks are for recreation for people who have houses.
Yeah, exactly.
And there is like no place
Yeah.
for nomads anymore, you know. And even COVID, a lot of homeless people have been moved inside, so even the kind of the leftover homeless community is very lonely too, although there's these big encampments too. But it's all and especially on the plains, it was like there's like white settlers. Yeah. And they're building. They're like, it's clearly like things are getting developed across South Dakota and Wyoming and Montana.
Yeah.
You know, and homeless Indians. You know, and where there's more of that, people were more fearful of me as like another wild. And I just got this whole thing that like civilization. So the download was that civilization is a settlement project. Obviously, it's like we talk about how we talk about it that way. It's not even an argument. That's history.
Yeah, that's what human history is. It's a settlement.
Yeah. And those who refuse to settle, they'll take their kids away, they'll kill them, they'll do anything. And the reason is because you can't profit. What's the word?
So the first instinct is you can't control somebody. That right?
Well, no, it's worse. It's just that like you literally you can't make a profit off of unsettled people. You need them to be settled so that they pay taxes or rent. Right? That's literally. Towns will be like, hey, we're struggling to pay for the schools. Let's sell off this town land so we'll have more of a tax base.
Yeah.
Right. So you there you are. You have the common land, and it's like, well, we got to come up with some money here. So it doesn't have to be so. That's just how it's done.
Yes.
Right. But in an empire sense, you're like, oh, we've got these nomads here. We to make that land profitable, we need to settle it.
Yeah.
Whether it's them or other people, the people who are going to settle.
Yeah, we'll make it appealing for people to come and migrate here to buy homes.
And settling also has
pay taxes.
To me, has at least the association of settling for less. You know.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I realized just that like most of our ancestors, or if not all, were forced to settle. At first, somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
Or at least we're lured by public baths and like just the good life of not wearing pants.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And then now what do we have? There's no public baths.
Yeah.
Everyone's wearing pants. And like no, this was not the deal.
Yeah.
You know, this is not the deal. And the struggle with like a lot of homeless people who, you know, they're like, oh, we gave them a home and then they just moved back outside. Well, in a way, the domesticated life, at least to some of us, is not a dignified life.
Yeah.
And that, like, we know that humans weren't originally like
designed for this.
Well, here's the situation, and maybe this will come around to some other view, but like, is that, you know, comfortable. There's nothing wrong with being comfortable, but what builds up when you have walls around you and you're insulated. This also happens with wealth, is that your comfort is very conditional. In your mind. Yep. In your mind.
Yeah.
Because you realize you're comfortable here, but not out there.
Yeah.
You know, the old why rich man can't enter the kingdom of heaven. They've got too much to lose.
Yeah. You sit here going, I'm not fully happy or comfortable, and it takes all this fucking money and all this property and all this shit just to get to where I'm at right here and now.
Yeah.
So I can't lose any of this. It's going to get even worse, and I'm
Yeah.
already not that fucking happy, or I don't feel that comfortable or confident in my existence. So I got to at least hoard what I have, if not build on top of that.
Right.
And that's, I'm into. Have we talked yet about the Stoic philosophers? Seneca or the so these are like ancient Greek philosophers, and they used to do things where they would, so like Seneca was the second richest man.
Was Diogenes considered a
I
Stoic?
think so, yeah. Diogenes would be a Stoic. Epictetus, who was a slave, but Seneca was the second richest man in Rome, and he used to I think it was like 1 week a month he would live off of the least possible means he could. So like the equivalent of rice and beans. I don't know what it was in ancient Greece, but he would eat almost nothing. Damn near starve to death. He wouldn't enjoy any of the niceness of life. He'd go outside and he'd sleep on the streets and this and that. And he'd do it as an exercise to remind himself, this is no different than that life. So don't live in fear, because if you end up on the street, it's going to be the same thing as inside your castle, if not better. And he was able to live free of all of these things. It's almost kind of like a
that's why the those who are trained for power are raised with the classics, and so Elon Musk has.
Oh no, 100%. Yeah, no. A lot of the guys in the billionaires in Silicon Valley who actually have a decent moral code are studying the Stoics and are for
right.
reason. Elon Musk doesn't own a home.
Whether it's a moral code or just it's like that's where your power is derived from. It's not. Otherwise, it's going to start. It's
There's this book, Throwing Rocks at the Google Bus, and the authors.
I remember that.
Yeah. The author's name's escaping me. He might be from Berkeley. I think he's a local guy, and he wrote about how he had a bunch of billionaires pay him some insane amount of money to come and speak to him. Like these 4 guys in a room, and it was like more money than he would make normally doing, selling books or anything. It was like $50,000 to sit with these guys for a day. And he was kind of like, I don't feel great about it, but it's a lot of fucking money. Maybe I can do some good with that money with my organizations and my stuff. So he goes and he sits down with them, and he realized real quick as they're talking, as the pleasantries kind of get out of the way, is they're like, okay, so when the event happens, how can we best keep ourselves from the masses, coming and killing us and taking our stuff?
They're asking him that
because he wrote this book about,
right. How the pitchforks.
The pitchforks.
Yeah.
And he's looking at these billionaires going, oh my God, you guys are the least free people. Yeah. You're the most anxiety-filled, least free people I've ever met in my life. Right? Yeah. Because every day they're just thinking about, so we know we've been screwing, we've been taking advantage of lesser people for our entire fucking career. That's what we built our wealth on. But we don't even get to enjoy the wealth because we know at some point, they're going to come for us.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to turn around. Right? So they're not even enjoying the fruits of their fucking, labor.
I mean, they're getting to play that game. That does seem to be one of their favorite games anyway. Well, it's a good replacement for Dungeons and Dragons.
Exactly, right, yeah.
It's not so bad.
Real human life,
I remember I did work. I worked for an internet rich guy who also was taking a more playful approach to that. But yeah, they all like that game.
It's all a game, yeah. Anyway,
it's definitely cursed. Some of the same problems, but saw me as offering some, perhaps some lightning ways, whatever. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Yeah. And it worked out. Mixed results.
So that all came from the download.
So the download. No, but it just was this whole
you're able to
that civilization and settlement thing, and that this is what it does, and they've outlawed nomadic, and it led to this sense of wanting there to be a homeless or hobo pride movement.
Wow.
In the way that because here I am like, you know, about as proud as a hobo gets.
Yeah.
I feel stylish.
Yeah.
You know, I think I'm like, I feel like a superhero often,
Yeah, well,
as well as human, but you know.
I think if the hobos are gonna pick a hero, I mean,
No, there's plenty more
know,
skilled ones than me.
I know.
I'm still like rusty and not that good at it. There's, you know, this is the thing, is here I am not doing it well and feeling pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still vulnerable to the judgment and feeling like shy about coming into a coffee shop to like buy the most expensive coffee and charge my wheel to do this trip, because like I'm this like bum, and like, and what I see is that the homeless people and their forced conditions, perhaps maybe not by choice like me, are also feeling bad about themselves and have that similar look on their face, like, and I was like, you know, this is a natural way. This is the way of freedom and justice in their like original way, and
you should be able to be proud of it.
And I'm actually reading an amazing book right now called The Beginning of Everything by David Graeber and David, and it's all the indigenous critiques of civilization right along these lines.
Yeah.
Amazing book. So I'm not even, you know, this download clearly has plenty of
Fuel. Yeah.
or precursor. You know, it's this is not on me. And it's funny, like, the homeless pride, but you know, actually almost borders on homeless supremacy. And that's kind of where my mind started going with it. I was like, a response, and people, my friends, my family, everyone's so offended when I really went into my shtick about that and like channeled it. Like I said, there's some personal bits, right? I have my own chip,
of course,
and but people get offended, and it's funny because, you know, what is it? What happens? What's the opposite of settling? Unsettling.
Unsettled.
And people find it unsettling.
Yeah.
They feel like they're personally being attacked because they are personally invested in this project.
This project.
In this project, and they're building up their dung piles, and like that's their sense of security rather than, and this is it, rather than feeling at home and secure in the world and with God or whoever, you know, and like how things unfold. Now that doesn't mean a house would stop you from that, but there is kind of the drive of the civilization, and even the advertising, the literal advertising, is to make you feel like you're not safe, so you might need to add to your dung pile. Yeah. And that's what's driving this whole thing, so that people can make, I mean, that's capitalism. That's the whole project of empire, has been the whole time. And that's why they're settling everybody and putting them to work, you know, and
it's a good download.
And then they make you feel bad if you don't have a house and you don't work. When actually it's the right thing to do. Actually the only dignified thing to do, perhaps.
Wow.
Obviously not required. I was trying to turn it on its head, because the judgment is so extreme in one direction that when I bring it up with the same kind of judgment, people think I'm mad. I am. I'm angry, but they can't handle it. They break up with me as a friend. They cannot hear it.
You're making them face parts of themselves they don't want to, or decisions that they.
If I say it with half the severity of the other direction, of
how
the
they
judgment.
accuse you of.
Accuse me, or just the societal, not them personally.
The
you know what I mean?
Judgment
and how they drive themselves to like do the things they do. They're like, wait a minute, like you're telling me that this is actually a trap, you know, and I'm not actually, but just it's a neat idea to entertain.
100%. Hell yeah.
You know, and I'm hoping, and so, but this is part of a larger download of, or not download, because that makes it sound like it's real. It's more my
something
own dream.
You're playing with.
Let's call it a dream, because the dreams change and they don't need to be like reality, but
they point to something beyond the usual regularly scheduled programming.
Is that there needs to be a circus to run away with, like the world. there's great displacement going on, and it's going to accelerate. We all know that. Climate change, all this stuff, right? And it's so funny. We talk about like all the cities that will be flooded. It's like New York. It's called New York. Sea level was 800 feet lower, 12,000 years ago.
12,000 years ago, yeah.
People live there. In fact, all over the Atlantis. But it's clearly it's all about it's about their homes.
Yeah.
Like not their survival.
Their settlements. Yeah.
Like we're not even, the settlements are nothing. They're camps. Let's just call them camps.
Temporary camps. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're humans. All settlement is a camp.
Yeah.
And in the gypsy tradition and other nomadic cultures, they know that you can only stay in a camp for so long before it becomes disgusting and diseased and problematic. And it's like crop rotation. It actually is healthy for the land. You move on, and you come back the next year, and now everything's flowering and beautiful because you left your trash there, and now it's all composted and it's wonderful. And so the nomadic,
Yep.
And
it's built into our nature as humans and the nature of the planet.
And I just right now, as when people are displaced, they're completely dependent on their relationships and their dung piles, right? And other than that, all places kind of suck equally, or it might be nice.
Weather's a little nicer here or there.
Yeah. There's some, there's worse and better, but people can be forgiven for feeling a little hopeless. Like, hey, I'm not happy here, and there's no alternative.
Yeah.
And not only that, like I'd be even more screwed anywhere else. So they're even more fearful of losing what they have. And I just think with this more displacement coming up, rather than doom and gloom, there needs to be a new nomadic society that rolls through town, is compelling, steals the women and children, steals their hearts. Of course. And that provides like an inspiration so people can say, hey, this is better for now.
Yeah.
And then when they find it, perhaps they settle down somewhere else, but they find some place they prefer. And in that way, I just think that one of the things in our society is that it's got poor circulation. We think of ourselves as moving all the time, but we know with the debt and all this stuff, which actually there's a bit of a conspiracy around to keep people more.
Oh,
Sure.
Yeah.
It's got poor circulation, and then things get depressed. There's
the nomadic circus you're talking about here can take the blinders off, if only for a moment.
It's just to create some circulation, get the blood flowing. So that it's like,
hey, there's a world out there. Hey, there's other places.
Come have fun with us and get somewhere else. And I see this as being kind of like the cavalry in that. I don't know, this might be a rave is what I'm coming to. I want to build an ancient alien rave vehicle, a mothership.
I'm imagining just
that travels around.
Hundreds of gypsies on Uni-Wheels coming through town, juggling and shit, and
chasing a giant mothership, surrounding a giant mothership that then opens up into a rave. It travels by night, by the way, when the roads are empty.
Where is it? Let's go.
Yeah, so get the kids.
Yes. Dude,
there's the van warriors too. I mean, there's going to be those guys.
There's going to be some vans. They're old school. They're purists.
Yeah.
The Amish of the UFO mothership.
Yeah.
Rave gypsy revolution.
Yeah.
Somebody watching this is sold, dude. They're going to look for you, man. Plenty of them, actually.
Yeah. Well, I hope I'm easy to find soon enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's kind of the direction I'm going. I'm doing connecting more with with the Burning Man crowd.
Right.
Because I just feel like there's not just Burning Man, but in California out here, there's so many old timers, total geniuses, amazing artists.
Yeah.
Who've also accumulated huge fortunes.
Yeah.
Many of them.
Yeah.
And they were hoping to live for the revolution. They were hoping to live to see the day.
They wanted to see it. Yeah.
And they're desperate. And I'm like, I'm trying to be a bit of a ringleader.
Let's make it happen.
In that sense, and get a collaboration going on to get people get it moving.
Yeah.
Get it moving a little bit.
Get
There's
the
other,
cir- get the
there maybe
circulation.
perhaps there's other more important things that I will also be doing, but this is my. So we went from the download of the Halloween download,
Yeah.
to actually the more recent download of the Ancient Alien Rave vehicle. But this is dream talk.
talking.
Yeah,
Dream talking.
this is dream talking,
So
and this is what I do: is I talk my dreams through, and then bits and pieces
Yeah.
seem to come together. I mean, and
Yes.
then you're like, "What's going?"
Yeah.
And then like, actually, no, this was going this other way. But then it comes back around years later, like like.
So this is what we're doing. So
Yeah.
so I used to call it. So Paul calls it verbal jazz.
Mhm.
I say this is a verbal jazz duet. I'm playing something, you're playing something. We're going to create something totally unique.
Ooh,
That the
ooh.
the sum of each whole, the sum is greater than the parts,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I actually learned over the last couple of years the ancient Greek phrase for this is dialogos, which is acquiring knowledge and wisdom through dialogue.
Okay.
Right, and so you're bringing a little something to the table. I'm bringing a little something to the
Right.
table. We're dreaming, and we're gonna slowly uncover this, piece of clay of what
Yeah.
what this dream is, what this
Yeah,
future
yeah.
is, what this whatever is, and it's fun. And the process itself is its own reward. And then if at the end we end up with the mothership, then that's playing with house money.
Yeah, the house money. You should print. Can you print up some bills with Paul on there? Some Pauls.
House money.
Yeah, the house money.
That's a good one, man. I think we should do. So you just
Because I need to keep that one in my pocket. I mean, that way I don't have to remember it.
Yeah. So, okay, you brought up aliens. I just have to, because he's been on Dream talking about 3 times. I happen to be right here. Keith Thompson, Angels and Aliens.
Right.
Keith Thompson, everybody. I would give you this, but he signed it for me.
Okay.
So I will try to get you a copy.
Yeah.
So this is, Keith is one of my best buddies in the whole world. I just talked to him on the phone about 2 days ago. I met him through Paul. He is writing a book right now called Cosmos Calling. And he talks about the alien UFO supernatural phenomena being a call from the cosmos, right? He has this very interesting take. I think he is the most interesting thinker out there on the extraterrestrial phenomena in the world. I know that's a very bold statement to say, but he wrote this book back in the 90s, Angels and Aliens.
Because I remember it.
Oh, you did?
I remember that.
Oh, you know
one.
this book. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, right on. Okay, yeah, so it's out of print now. It's rare. It's so funny. So I don't want to air his business too much, but he went to a event at Esalen recently in Big Sur, and it was all the who's who in the world of UFO phenomena, basically. The top, best of the best. And he kept meeting these people for the first time, and hey, my name's Keith Thompson. Not the Keith Thompson that wrote Angels and Aliens. And he was just getting that left and right of all these people like, oh, dude, you're the guy on this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do a very quick and dirty poor man's blue collar synopsis of his theory. But it's basically that there's kind of 2 main camps in the world of UFO. There's the nuts and bolts guys who think that we're going to find, physical evidence that there was a UFO crash here, and there it is, and the world has to believe it now. And then there's the debunkers that go, oh, that can be explained away, and it's all bullshit, basically. And Keith's take, you're talking earlier about metaphors and symbols and stuff. He comes from kind of a Carl Jungish place of aliens are pointing to something that's kind of just beyond our basic understanding of physical reality and physics here and now, and that it's calling to us because all these not all, but a unknown specified percentage of abductions, of sightings, and all of this is trying to call the human race to sort of what's next. What's next in our evolution, what's next in the unveiling of consciousness or anything like that. And as you were telling your story about the Uni-Wheel, I was thinking a little bit of Keith in that. So in his book, he writes about how whatever the latest technology of the time is, people see it, and their fear of it represses to where they literally can't see it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, like, hot air balloons, you know, were the latest and greatest technology of the time. And when people saw hot air balloons, at the not knowing what they were, oh, this is the devil, this is the demon, this is Satan, you know, it's the end of the fucking world, and this and that, right? Yeah. And so we've followed this on the road of technology over the last 100 years or whatever, and we're at the cutting edge here and now, and there's a very small percentage of people that are open to, like, what is the cosmos calling us to do, to go, what's next, right? And so I heard a lot of that in your latest dreaming.
Well, I believe these wheels are the biggest thing in human evolution since 2 feet.
Wow.
Because we went from 4, then we went to 2, then we stuck a wheel between it. For me, it excuses all of industrialization.
I gotta cut that clip. It excuses all of industrialization.
This was the point. This was what it was all for. You know, kind of like, I forget in the Hitchhiker's Guide what the point was, but right?
47 or something.
42.
42, yeah.
And it's the 42. And then furthermore, there's I want to play. I started playing around and playing lacrosse on these, and that's I'm not gonna go into detail with that because that would be a whole other interesting
podcast
thing. Yeah, its own podcast I'd like to do some work on.
Okay.
Before we get there, but I was telling a friend about that. I'd never played lacrosse, but I was playing around with a stick and stuff like that. That's a whole story. That reminded him of a bad 80s movie he had seen called Solar Babies.
Oh, yeah.
You know Solar Babies?
I do know Solar Babies.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Where they play lacrosse on a sport, skateball, right? That's like the lacrosse sticks, and they have the roller skates, and they live in an orphanage, controlled by the E-Protectorate and whatever.
Yeah.
So I watched Solar Babies, and it's like, to me, it's prophetic, and it's done in the languages of its time. They couldn't have imagined the electric unicycle.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they have skates with lights on them.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing lacrosse,
Mm-hmm.
and the children are like under this fascist regime, which is how I don't see kids outside anymore. The way I grew up, and now I'm cruising around, and I have it all to myself, and I'm glad I don't have to be fearful of young teens throwing bottles at me or whatnot.
Yeah.
You know, but like they're not there.
Yeah.
And that's sad to me. And I'm hoping that these wheels are a way to get kids back from gaming back into the direct experience of the world, because they happen at a speed of gaming, and their they are computers, and they do connect to your phone, and then kids can actually learn how to do the maintenance of these things and learn all the math and science that it takes.
It's the gateway drug back outside.
I literally think it's all a kid needs now. There's a phone and a wheel. They don't need any school. It's all good from there. Like you give a kid a phone and a wheel, they're done. That's it. And then mentorship. You know, all the human community, but they'll actually be able to access that now because they can go 50 miles to wherever their mentor is. They can make their own connections with them. Yes. Their parents can know where they are and who they're mentoring with. Yes. It's like we don't need this fascist system anymore.
Bro,
so
you solved it, man.
Yeah, and you don't need to entertain the kid either.
Oh, shit.
No.
He's got a wheel and a phone.
Yeah, and body armor. Plenty of body armor.
Okay, what's the body armor?
Body armor, these things go 50 miles an hour.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. You've had some bad spills.
Yes. Protected and unprotected. The body armor makes a huge difference.
I bet it does.
Yeah.
Any spill? You must have had spills on the trip across country.
Yeah, just one good one.
With body armor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how much recovery was involved?
None. I mean,
dust yourself off.
Yeah, these are the result of that spill. This is. So I was wearing knee pads, but they're not very good ones, and bounced off. So the second one did come through. I was going 30 miles an hour. I bounced on my chest. I had a front bag and body armor, and still my ribs were sore for about a month and a half afterwards. But I got a flat tire and didn't realize it till I had lost control, and Superman bounced, and just bounced once and was basically on my feet almost immediately. But like I definitely slid some. But again, I had like the snowboarding gloves, armored underwear even.
Yeah.
And my stereo, which I had mounted on my front pack, took most of the road rash.
Was it fucked up? Was it done?
No, still playing.
Oh wow, right
on. So yeah, that was my biggest wipeout on the road.
And you were up and riding within?
No, I had a flat tire. A car was passing me,
yeah.
and they saw it happen, and it was perfect because it was clear they pulled over to see if I was all right, and I said, yeah, I think I'm all right, but things not working. Can I catch a ride into town? And I was in the middle of the Badlands, so I got a ride into 40 miles into town, and they were definitely not the type of people that had they come by a second later, and I was up walking this crazy contraption with a tiger on it. They would have thought I was a crazy man. They had nothing to do. They didn't even want to bring me to where I wanted to go or anything. They were nice enough. And but they stopped to make sure I wasn't dead, and so it worked out well. But what were you?
So before you explained your crash, we were explaining how to save society, the world, humanity.
Oh, but we were talking about solar babies.
Solar babies.
So in the movie Solar Babies,
yes,
the kid, the mascot of the team, with the ear, he's wearing.
It's been a long time.
He has electric ears.
Okay.
And, right,
Yeah.
He's the young guy of the Solar Babies is their skateball team, and as they're running from the police, he discovers this old mine shaft, and there's this orb in like a puddle in the mine shaft, and it's an alien intelligence that cures his hearing so he can hear finally.
Yeah.
And then it brings rain into their like clubhouse, and then kind of has a will of its own that leads everyone on this chase that is a lot of home wrecking and destruction, but ultimately results in breaking the aqua bunker, which I consider to be the false scarcity. So the water returns to the world. And
false scarcity.
And the false scarcity, and that orb to me has now returned to Earth from 1,000 years in the future of 1980, parallel universe in 1986, to here in the form of something that can be written, so that we can play Unicross on these. So we can play it. So
do you know who directed this movie or wrote it?
I do. I don't remember his name.
Or he
was. He only directed 2 movies. He was the choreographer for like Blazing Saddles and like a lot of. So it's a Brooks film.
Okay.
And the choreographer, who was more of like a musical choreographer for all these, the cheesy Mel Brooks movies, right? Well, he wanted to direct a movie, so it's filled with stars. All the child stars are in it. I don't know the names, but anyone who watches it who knows that era like recognizes people. It's the youngest they'd ever seen them.
All the big shots. Yeah.
All the big shots are there. This movie was, given everything, and they basically, it's just like a Rorschach of archetypes with poor excuses, just like life, for plot lines. So they just get all these money shots. They're like, yeah, throw one of those in there. I mean, I can just imagine it was the era when they just all had too much cocaine, and we're like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's great, that's
Great
perfect,
idea.
that's, you know, and like, so it makes sense.
Write that down.
So it didn't really work out at the theater, you know.
Uh-huh.
People are like, this is, you know, they have like the E.T. shot in there. They have like it's kind of a Mad Max spinoff. It's got
a little bit of
everything, and but now it's perfect. It's a perfect for me.
Perfect prophetic metaphor for
Not just prophetic, but it's enough of a Rorschach that allows, ideally, if a new society, you know, if there's a new culture of brewing, we can find something like the Bible or a common language. And I think Solar Babies is a good one because it's
required.
It's all the
required
archetypes.
Watching.
Yeah,
Homework.
it's all the archetypes, and it can mean what you want it, whatever you want it to mean.
Yes.
And that means it is indeed a language of, you know, good prophecy. You know, good prophecy is one that could come true in a million different ways.
Yes. You don't want to be
Nostradamus.
You don't want to be too detailed.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Because then it's very easy to go.
leave it a little loose, you know.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
so to me, that I watch it
Solar
all the
Babies.
time. And
I haven't watched it in probably 10 years, so I'm going to watch it probably tonight.
And it speaks to me in a dreamlike way that I can't quite grasp. But yeah, and I think these wheels are here to free childhood and the world and false scarcity, and that they are an alien intelligence, and it's self-balancing.
Yeah.
On top of it, all the hype around the Segway.
Yeah.
It just hadn't reached its final form. There was a lot of hype around the Bone Shaker and the penny farthing too before.
What's that?
The early bicycles before the safety bike as we know it, the triangle frame.
Holy shit.
It was invented in the 1890s.
Yeah.
They were like, look at these amazing things we can kind of, and you're like, a bone shaker? That's kind of silly. You know, like guy like kind of waddling above a thing, or penny farthing, totally dangerous, you know?
Yeah.
And then they came out with the safety bike, and it reached its form.
Yeah.
And so this is reached its form, and it can change a little bit, but this will be around for the next 100 years, like like it is.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
You know, it's.
You said earlier that it made industrialization worth it.
Yeah.
Something about there's that and it's the marrying of that and technology in a way that like you said. Kids are outmatched. Paul will talk about, you know, iPads. The kids are outmatched. How are you going to compete with instantaneous response? You know, any fantasy world, anything possible. You know, just flooding you with dopamine nonstop. And one of the things you said that rung with me and stuck with me was, this is the one shot back because it is instantaneous response.
Yeah, it is.
And riding around on that must feel a little bit like having a GoPro, or what's it called,
virtual
reality glasses.
It's like a full body. It's the full thing, and it's an all season pass to everywhere. You know, it's not like the ski update. It's like everywhere. It's all
anywhere.
People are like, oh, you go to like a track with that? It's like it's all like you go to the skate park with that. It's like, well, you can, but there's like bumps and jumps absolutely everywhere for this thing.
Yeah,
and
the world is your course. Anywhere, all the time. You said you were taking it on hiking trails in the Marin Headlands.
Oh yeah, I mean, riding out here, we did half of it on dirt bike trails, halfway across the country.
Yeah,
with our packs on and everything, like complicated ones even, mostly smooth ones.
Wow, and you had one crash. That's really crazy. Think of all the. Yeah, that's some next level.
I had one crash where I fell.
Okay, yeah.
I dropped the wheel a couple times and ran it out.
Yeah. But you never. No damage.
No.
Wow, that's really amazing. Man.
The other thing is, so there's two other qualities to the wheel. My friend Tristan had really bad Lyme's disease, and I'd gotten him wheeling. Then, right at the beginning of COVID, he actually got hospitalized because he had like multiple kinds of Lyme's and was very weak and at home, and he was able to borrow against that first stimulus money to buy his first wheel.
Oh, right on.
Because actually the wheel I had let him ride got stolen. But anyways, and he got a wheel, and he was at home like dying, and I said, Tristan, here's the argument to your parents. You need a wheel to rebuild your strength. Like, you're going to, like, this is, like, real. Yeah. And he got one, and he did. He started riding again.
And he really rebuilt
and like, everything came back. And it's because the adrenaline, that like, good adrenaline, that light drip is anti-inflammatory.
Oh, yeah.
And 100%. A lot of these diseases, it's the inflammation that gets you. Mm-hmm. And you just need a little adrenaline.
Yeah.
And that's what we're lacking. We get the stress kind of adrenaline, mm-hmm. not the physical. I'm trying to avoid this physical danger right here.
The flow state.
We get this anxiety
without the reward
thing if we're not getting that natural human experience.
And the reward of I need to watch out for that rock. I watched out for it. Good job. Here's your.
Oh, it's very grounding because if you don't stay present if you kind of lose yourself
focus.
In thought, which is fine. I mean, your body can take care of it.
Yeah.
But there is also a very grounding experience, which is sometimes kind of painful. Like,
for sure.
Like, there's a direct result to getting caught in anxiety. It's not going to help you navigate.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's very direct, and then so these wheels are like an incredible teacher on so many levels. They're gurus.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean is the Bodhi, that alien intelligence. It seems to have a will and intelligence of its own. It has musical preferences. What it's teaching you is to also to lean in. Like, you really can't. So it's like whatever. Like you. So a lot of our stance, even when people walk, you know, you're kind of like.
Forward.
Yeah, you're kind of. People are like this, and people are like this. You know, but to ride one of these, at first people go like this. They're trying to balance. Yeah. It's a self-balancing device. Like, so natural.
If you're balanced, it's balanced.
So the natural, actually the best stance for it that you end up doing is this one of like your toes slightly turned out, your shoulders turned out.
Good posture.
And leading with your hara. And then trust falling, zooming like that. So you're like it's this whole like wide, like hara, led with your hara.
Yeah.
And then loosen the hips. So you're not stalling. You're just like,
yeah.
Like, just.
It's like true yoga, for your nervous system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the stance. So I came cross country with that.
Jesus Christ.
You know, that's that's why it's so great is you can just be like, the wheel will get you there. You don't have to like.
It's a guru.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a guru.
It is. I've been doing yoga again for the first time in a long time, and I do that camel pose where you open up like this, right? And sometimes I'll get fucking emotional. Just leading with the hara for fucking 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Let alone across the United States. I can imagine that'll really rewire you.
Yeah, but you got music too, and you can sing, and you're like, you know, it's that,
Yeah.
And then you go into, you sit, and so the other thing is you can sit on them. I had a yoga block, just Velcro to the top of my wheel.
And can you ride?
And you ride, yeah. So I spend half the time when I don't want to stand. You're seated kind of low like this.
Yeah.
And I'd be riding through the night just.
I'll open your hips up. That'll
you got
chill.
You're just like.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Come on, man.
Or like I lock my tie. Sometimes when it's windy, I'd be back down like this, hugging it. But you're just. Yeah.
So that's the big. Okay, thinking of the audience, the question everyone wants to know: when did it rain? When was the elements really fucking rough? How did you handle it? I think you kind of just answered it, but.
Okay, so when I fell, that was a windy day.
Okay. How windy are we talking?
It was like a steady 25 miles an hour headwind.
Yeah, headwind.
And then when you're going 25, that makes it a 50 mile an hour headwind.
That's fucking heavy.
And that had come right after I had been pinned down for a couple days at the Nike Missile Visitor Center in Cactus Flats, South Dakota.
Okay.
Where all the missiles are.
Yeah.
And so I did my longest day. I got pulled into that. I had a tailwind because there was this big storm forming, this big spiral, right? And it was pulling winds in at like 35 miles an hour across the plains, steady 35 mile an hour wind out of the east, which rarely happens there. Yeah. And so I I didn't stop. I went through. I was like, I'm going to use this.
Yeah.
So I made it 185 miles
in a day. Jesus, you were flying.
I saw the Northern Lights as I started out from that night. I mean, I guess I had gone the whole day before too. So whatever. But I had this tailwind. I hit 65 miles an hour that day because with the tailwind, you can go faster.
This can go. You said 30.
This one goes 40.
40.
Mine goes 50, but I looked later at the thing and it hit 65, but it wasn't.
What the hell?
That's very dangerous because when you reach your top speed, if it can't keep up any further, you just go down. But it didn't, So anyways, that storm was pulling me right into the eye, and I hit the eye at Cactus Flats, right where and suddenly the winds were all confused, like 50 mile an hour gusts, 60 mile an hour, and it was right at dusk, and I went in the visitor center for the missile defense thing was closed, but just right under the gate. On the thing, and like,
dude, they gotta make a movie about this.
Yeah, right? And I have some pictures in front of the Lao Tzu quote on it.
Oh,
which
what
I should read. It's
is it from the Tao Te Ching?
Yeah, it's from the Tao Te Ching. Oh no, it's from the Art of War. Not Lao Tzu. It's Sun Tzu. Okay. Sorry, Lao Tzu would be great if they had that. No,
I was about to.
No, it's the Art of War.
See if we can find it.
It's the Art of War that basically someday there will be this race of warriors so powerful that they won't have to fight and they'll win the day without shedding a drop of blood. And I imagine my robo-hobo to be those warriors of Farad.
Fuck your missiles.
Right? Yeah, so I was there with my tiger like in front of it, and I slept on the kind of under the porch, under the entrance there behind behind the bench.
Wow.
And like everything got wet except for my spot. Like I was just enough protected, and then spent the whole day in the visitor center because it was a storm, and it got really bad that day, and then they kicked me out into it at the end of the day.
And they wouldn't let you sleep there. You stuck in.
No, but they didn't invite me back. These are like rangers, and they saw what I was up to, and no, they did not want me back at their like trailers or anything. And they were young and regular ranger losers. I've never met a park rangers are cool about like 1%. Like they're not a good bunch. No. In general. I mean, they're some of them are sweet. They're just kind of normies. But actually, I mean, they love nature. I know people who do the backcountry stuff are usually right. But these guys.
So instead of saying, "Hey,"
anyways, I don't mean to talk too much trash. They didn't. They said, well, you should go to the.
Fuck them, man. They sent you out to the storm.
Yeah, so they sent me to the motel where actually all of them have their trailers. They're like, well, maybe you should get a room over there, And I went over there to hide in the lee until the wind was going to die, maybe 3 a.m. or something. I figured I'd just hide in the lee, and the cleaning lady at the motel was like a Beat Harvest traveler girl. And she saw me with a thing, and immediately she was on the phone with the owner and was pointing to my room and telling me where the laundry was, and like it was all on the house, as you say.
On the house.
Yeah. So that was the first hotel. That was the
first time you stayed in a hotel.
Stayed in a room, got a shower and all that. Other than and so yeah, winds are a major thing. We got a little cold in Idaho. Tristan started getting hypothermic when we got into Coeur d'Alene because we got rained on all night, and then it started freezing in Coeur d'Alene, so he broke down and got a hotel room.
Yeah, that's October or so by then.
It was late October. Yeah. Things were frozen.
Oh yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah, we were crusting up. Our wet clothes were crusting up.
Oh yeah. Did it snow on you at all?
Yeah, we rode through some snow in Montana and Wyoming.
Yeah. Wow.
Idaho too. Yeah.
Where would you sleep in those places?
So the whole way across, I slept in my hammock tent, which was more comfortable than any bed I've had. And because of the wheel, I could always find a place to tie it up, even though you could put it on the ground. It was a Crua, not that well made, but very comfortable and a little heavy.
When you say because of the wheel, would you tie the wheel to one?
Because the wheel could get me to
You're gonna find
to a spot
something.
with tree. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't like
Uh-huh.
it's like yeah, I'll find a good spot.
Yeah.
And
Right on.
and so if it was raining, I'd try to do it like in a pavilion or somewhere undercover. Honestly, in the East, it's very easy. People, for the most part, I don't know, in New York and stuff, like, it's very gentle. People are like, oh, you're camping for the night. Like,
Yeah.
no big deal.
No
You
judgment.
get to, like, the Midwest, they get more uptight.
Mm.
And although when you're far away from any kind of, like, vacation zone, if you're just into the farm zone,
Yeah.
all of a sudden nobody cares. Like, they're just, hey, you're here.
Uh-huh.
And, like,
Yeah.
I found Frisbee golf courses to be the best kind of park.
That makes sense.
The what is that? The Kiwanis Club or whatever it was. But it was always the Frisbee golf course because like Frisbee golfers are notoriously
Hippies.
chill.
And chill,
So I could be strung up on a Frisbee golf course, wake up the next morning, and they're like, "What's up, bro? What you doing?"
Yeah. That checks.
Did meet
That
some
makes
characters that way.
sense. I bet. And they got to meet you, your
Yeah.
character.
But
Yeah.
it was warm. So below freezing and stuff plenty of times, but it was with the sleeping bag, the hobo coat, the inflatable mattress,
Yeah, you were a mobile home.
No, I had everything. I had my every time I stopped to charge my wheel, which was every 15 to 40 miles, I'd stop to charge.
Oh, wow.
And so I'd ride for an hour or two and charge for 2 or 3 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and or an hour and a half to 3 hours or something like that. And I had a water boiler and always had really good coffee and
Nice.
cream.
What foods?
Oh, just if
Whatever you
I
can
try to hit a Trader Joe's or something like that and have like the nuts and chocolates and
Trail mix.
crackers and peanut butter, whatever,
Uh-huh.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then, partway in, I started picking up this habit of not every night or even maybe once a week at first, but then it started to be more often in the West where things were really sparse.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm thinking.
Of showing up I'd like to like kind of pick a goal at like how far I think I could make it that day and where I thought I'd be at midnight, and walk into a bar at midnight in the middle of nowhere, or ride into a bar in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
like at midnight, just to see.
You got to, man.
And the first one I did like that
Uh-huh.
was called Mug Shots
Mug shots in what state?
in Cosmic, Minnesota.
Jesus. I didn't even know
Where
there was a Cosmic Minnesota.
It's this little cow town,
Okay.
in this little farming town. Bikers, supposedly, is a biker bar. And all the streets are named for the zodiac and for planets. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Cosmic Minnesota.
Cosmic Minnesota. And I came into Mugshots one figuring.
See, if we turn this into a movie, people aren't going to believe it. It's too good.
Yeah. And I went into Mugshots being like, well, I mean, bikers should be able to accept me. Here I am, basically a biker.
Yeah. One less wheel.
Right, yeah. But they should,
Come on.
should be treated well.
What's
Well, I
a
show
wheel?
up, I get there, I'm like, are you guys open? Because there's the bartender girl, a younger woman, and the bar owner lady, and like another lady, a regular sitting at the. So there's 3 ladies.
3 ladies
And I said, what happened to the bikers? And they go, well, they all went to bed. I'm like, it's Saturday night. It's midnight. Like, they're like, well, they're not like they used to be. They're all really just family guys and working guys. Do it as a hobby. It's not, like real bikers. Like, wait a minute, what are you? And but they were so sweet to me. We had a grand old time. They took my mugshot, of course.
Oh, nice.
Had me fill out the.
Did they have everyone's mugshot?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Something? Okay. They should have had it with you with your Uni-Wheel.
Yeah. And they asked me, so what are you up to? And So, well, eventually I'm going out, doing this, and I'm trying to start a migration, so hopefully there'll be thousands of us next time I come through. And they go, oh, please come back with thousands. So they weren't just happy to have me, but they invited all of us back.
I see.
All of us.
Join the movement. Cosmic Minnesota. Get your mug shot taken.
Yeah. There's room. So the Frisbee golf course has all these pavilions, but in that area where across the plains, this becomes a normal thing where there's these pavilions, but they have removable walls, so you can close them in, and they have power and water. These are parks and barbecues, and because people go and have parties in the parks and stuff like that. But this is just endless, and they in places like this that are just removed where there isn't a flow.
Yeah,
these places are literally free. They want you there because that's who else is going to come there if they're not hospitable.
Yeah, they're doing it right.
And all the lakes are totally polluted and you can't swim anywhere, but
that sucks.
It's farmland.
Yeah.
And the people are sweet. And there's
and
there's all these the snowmobile trails actually make these dirt trails that are perfectly smoothed down and soft, and they're the old rail beds, and they go everywhere.
That's perfect for the Uni-Wheel.
And it's so the Midwest is a lovely place.
There you go. Hey, man, the Midwest could use some, right?
I had no idea the Great Lakes are like full seas. They're inland seas. They're beautiful.
The
beaches are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the people are downtrodden. It's it's time to spread some love.
Yeah. Right on, man. Right on. Dude, we could go forever. Let me check the time.
Well, I think that was
We're 2 hours.
This is perfect.
Dude, that was awesome.
7 more minutes,
I think if they aren't sold at this point, I'm sold, dude. I'm getting one. Fuck my job. Fuck the Bay Area.
Oh, no. Yeah, they fit right into regular life, and what they do is they make all your errand, you're like, oh, do you need something from the store?
Yeah.
Oh, do you need something quick? Because you go out and it is quick. There's no parking. There's no nothing.
No, it's actually perfect for the city.
So running out to get something that's 20 blocks away is a 7-minute errand full of joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it totally flips it around.
It's like being a kid again.
Yeah, and it makes so all those things that were actually a pain in the ass because you forgot. Mm-hmm. You're psyched when you forgot something because now you need to go for a ride.
Yeah.
It's constant.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I'm all about anything that brings back childhood joy.
Yeah.
And this seems like the perfect bringing back childhood joy.
Oh yeah, best. Yeah. Most joy for the buck.
Right on, man. Yeah, I think it's playing with house money.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I think it's all the good stuff, man. Okay.
Yeah, so I want to do I want to get kids into it, especially because then, it's like one of those solutions that doesn't require maintenance.
Yeah.
So too much. They start teaching each other.
Exactly. Yeah.
And having to hustle to pay for the parts.
That too, and having
delivery stuff.
Yeah.
Now, how old do you have to be to do Uber Eats? Because
you shouldn't have to be too old, especially if you're doing it on that.
I always lament the loss of I was a paper boy.
Mm-hmm.
I met the other paper boys every morning before school at the Burger King where we bought our own breakfast. We went out to lunch together.
Yeah.
You
build that camaraderie.
And we still saved money. And this is an elementary school.
Yeah.
And kids love hustling more than adults do.
Yeah.
So why do we outlaw them from doing it and make us do it?
That don't want to do it. Yeah, man. Yeah.
So keep spieling, but that's.
Yeah.
But
I know you could go for days.
Yeah.
On this one.
So thanks so much.
Thank you, man. This was really fucking awesome. We went everywhere,
Everywhere I wanted to go. You really had thank you so much.
No, thank you, man. And I mean, we went everywhere with the Uni-Wheel, we went everywhere with your story. We went all the way to conception and back to past lives.
Yeah.
To the non-dual, pure love
Yeah.
of consciousness, and then back all the way out to here. So we traveled.
Yeah. It's all the same place.
It's all the same place.
Yeah.
But we went some places in the dreaming. And
Yeah.
and it was really fucking fun, man.
Wow.
And I hope we can do it again.
Totally.
Many
Totally.
times, and do lots of pick some new subjects, do some verbal jazz on, and
Yeah. There's a couple other.
of course there's plenty.
Couple chapters.
Plenty.
But
Thank you, Dylan.
so much.
Joining Dream Talking. We'll end it officially.